So, you want to know what happened at Darkness Emergent, Los Angeles? Well, I can tell you, but it's not a tale for the faint of heart. This involves some blood, sweat, lots of tears. I'm gonna have to describe the actions of some dastardly villains and just no good characters. But if you pay attention, there's a tale in there about, well, I guess someone call him a hero. Someone who was so cool and handsome and talented and respected among his peers that he rose above the haters and the deceivers and was able to maybe inspire. That's up to you. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. When I tell the truth, there's nothing else I can do. And by watching this, you agree that what I say is the truth. And you will defend me if anyone says otherwise. So, I'm in a yapping mood. So this is probably going to be a long, arduous ride. But if you're into that sort of thing, buckle up. Let's get into it. Now, I'm going to try to keep this roughly organized into a few parts. I'm going to do a quick explanation about what Darkness Emergent is, for those of you who don't know or are too good to just watch my videos that have already explained it. Then I'm going to talk about the LARP itself, covering the various Darkness Emergent LARP events from the perspective of my character. I'll refer to other characters by their characters. And later, I'll talk about the players behind those vampires. Then I'm going to dive into just the convention as a whole, the location, the non-LARP activities, get into my thoughts about just Darkness Emergent overall, and talk about future events and the work I did there as well. And then I'm going to yap about the social experience, because if you know me, I mostly go to cons to hang. I'm what you call a social butterfly, a man of the people. And so I'll sort of talk about the actual people behind the characters and things like that. Yeah, I want to just shout out all the cool people I met and also publicly shame those who wronged me. Now, throughout this, I will be sharing video and pictures that I took at the event, and also stuff that some people were kind enough to share with me, and some stuff that I just sort of stole from socials or Discord, places like that. But I went solo, so I did my best, captured what I could. All the official photography and video and all like the best stuff is yet to come. The official photographer, Lynn, and his partner, they are Diablery Visuals. They did amazing work. Their stuff's going to come out. It's going to be better what I show you. But that'll take a while. They're professionals. And I have an alarmingly bad memory. I've written a lot of things down, so I have to recap now rather than wait for all the cool footage to come out. So I'll give you a peek, but keep an eye on Darkness Emergent socials if you want to see a lot of the good stuff. As a disclaimer, I was invited to go to Darkness Emergent Los Angeles as media, as press. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, that was me. So I didn't have to purchase a ticket, and I had access to everything. Though a lot of the events I was there strictly as press, meaning I didn't like participate in them as like a guest or a player. I'm not really an influencer. I'm not a videographer, but I did my best. I played the part, and I think I got some cool stuff. And I was able to conduct interviews again, and I love being able to talk to people I admire in this space, and I hope you get some interesting information out of those. I had worked with the By Night Studios team, Darkness Emergent, for Chicago. But that was very much like a last minute thing. I was pretty much like firing from the hip the whole time. This time, I got to work with RC, the director of brand experience at By Night Studios, and it was so nice. They are amazing, and they took a potentially overwhelming process and they made it so smooth. If you've ever worked with people in the RPG space, you'll know it is often a nightmare. And if you don't think it is, you're probably the nightmare. But RC and the team there were super professional, so organized, and they also juggle like a million different responsibilities to put on this massive event. So very appreciative of them. I felt overwhelmed at times, so I can imagine how they managed. And if you're familiar at all with me or the channel, you know I do this as a hobby. If I was doing this for the clicks, I would be making a bunch of rage bait videos about how awful this game is and complaining about it for other miserable weirdos. Or I would put out videos with any semblance of consistency. But I do this for the love of the game, and I am very lucky that there are other people that recognize that, like what I do, and I like what they do. Basically, we just get to point at each other and say, hey, this is cool. More people should get into this. So I don't really talk about things that I don't like. So spoiler, I like this a lot. Now, quick introduction about what is Darkness Emergent. It is currently a biannual Vampire the Masquerade LARP convention, meaning the main event revolves around currently 2 nights of LARP taking place in the ongoing Darkness Emergent story, which is ran by a full team of storytellers and also directly influenced by the players who participate in these events. But it's also a convention, which means they have a lot of additional like side LARPs you can do. There's social events they host. There's an auction. There are TTRPGs if you want to play some tabletop that they always have ran by some special guests. They have lots of things. Lots of panels run by professionals about LARPing or Vampire or World of Darkness or just the roleplay space in general. So it's a full-blown convention, but the focus, as every convention needs a focus, is live-action roleplay, which means the main reason we're all there is to pretend to be vampires at some point. It is ran by Night Studios, which is a company that produces the official LARP system and materials for World of Darkness 5th edition. It's a continuation of the Mind's Eye Theater system. Vampire is currently out there with Laws by Night. They just wrapped up their crowdfunding on the Hunter system as well. And then maybe we could expect some more in the future, as well as additional supplements to these games. Darkness Emergent Los Angeles is going to be an annual thing. So every year, I believe probably the same time in the spring, there's going to be an LA event. It's awesome. This one was very good. I've been to Darkness Emergent Chicago. I'm with Rachel. You can check out that recap. We had a good time. It was a great time even. Couldn't make Las Vegas because of life tragedies. But I've been really looking forward to Darkness Emergent Los Angeles, and it did not disappoint. This was different than Chicago. This was their biggest one yet. There were more events, more special guests, more players, more everything. I was there by myself because the Summon Stories team are traders. But so I can only scratch the surface of everything there was to offer. But what I experienced was incredibly satisfying. I'm going to share that with you, starting with the LARP. Now, I don't necessarily identify as a LARPer. I'm very new to it, but I gotta say, I LARPed my ass off, and I had a really good time doing it. And I plan on keeping at it as long as they'll have me. So, you're looking at a LARPer. Now, as I talk about the LARP, I'm going to talk about like the story that happened and what my character experienced. Like I said, there's so much happening. I got to like just get a little tiny bit of it. And as I mentioned people, I'll be mentioning the characters really later when I get into like the other section. I'll shout out the actual players behind them. But yeah, let's get into the story, the roleplay experience that I got to experience as Toledo. So the character I played for this was Toledo, who is a proud cowboy caitiff. He's a kindred who's actually been around for a very long time. He's explored the world. He's looked for like spiritual truths, universal truths, only to sort of come to the conclusion more recently that everyone just seems to kind of be winging it. And despite how sure they might seem, and that's okay. If everyone else is winging it, he might as well wing it too. Have a good time. Seek out some meaningful experiences for himself. Now, he has avoided being a part of kindred society proper his entire life up until very recently, because what he learned of it, he thought was mostly bullshit, and usually kind of boring. But one thing led to another, and now he's playing proper vampire now. He's got himself a coterie. He's declared for the Anarch movement. He's helping run the barony of Salt Lake City. Why? Because that was the option I was given in I roleplay this character on a play-by-post server with some of my friends, so there's some history I've established there. He's still sort of a self-proclaimed like revival preacher type. He likes the feelings that come with religion. He likes to worship something. He likes to find something worthy of worship that he can really throw himself into. He also likes being the subject of that every now and again. He dips his toes in that. In fact, he got his start in being in kindred society with the circulatory system. He creates cults, different cults for different purposes with different flavors of blood, depending on the mood he's cultivating. And because he prefers the company of mortals. He likes hanging out with them, and they like hanging out with him. So he creates these cults, but he does sometimes just sell a whole cult off to the circulatory system, the side of a wholesale herd to any hungry kindred. Now, I came in plenty of fringe Western flair hat, although the hat I wanted didn't arrive in time, so I made do. I brought some props too. I'll get into like what I wore, my costume a little bit. Here's some pictures so you get a general vibe. Some things I was attempting. But also I had my man Orville Peck inspired a little mask action. Yeah, I got to wear this night too. We'll get into this. That's for later. A little sash that I earned. Another prop I got there that very much came in handy was this bad boy. You know what it is. What else? I brought like a deck of cards because I don't know, maybe that would come in handy for something. I took a lot of like notes. I like taking notes just in general, and I kind of made it part of my character because he's like learning about vampires. I'm learning about how like these events go and how the tower and anarchs conduct themselves. So he's taking notes, he's paying attention, he's a learner, he's a scholar, damn it. So I had a little field notebook that I was taking notes in. What else? I had a bunch of coins left over, Fang coin, that I won from Chicago, that me and Rachel cashed in on. That's the gist. Oh, also cactus needles, aka toothpicks. I was chomping on a toothpick the whole time, and I really had fun with it. And I don't know why. Just having a little something, a little flair, really takes the edge off. But let's go into it night by night, LARP wise. So Wednesday night, I arrived. Plane was late. A few traveling disasters that were happening with delays and whatnot. Won't get into that, but I showed up later than I thought and immediately, essentially, got to the hotel, got dressed, scarfed down some food, did a little LARPing. This wasn't an official one. This was something that was organized by the amazing people who run the play-by-post server that I'm on. They're icons, but they put together multiple events actually. But I jumped in and got to be with do a little RP with my coterie, part of my coterie, Abbott, played by the lovely Robert, that I'll get into later, and then of course Viceroy, played by Vin, who we'll also hear more about later, as well as lots of other people that I'll get into when I get to the official stuff. You're here to hear about the official LARP, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the unofficial LARP. But they're a really cool group. I, in my ADHD brilliance, signed up for something thinking I was locked in. Worst time of my life because I was so incredibly busy with other things. But it was really fun getting to interact with these people that I knew vaguely from dabbling online in person. Really good time, and got to get a feel for it. Dust off the LARP boots, and start to get in the headspace of Toledo. And also, I have so many bolo ties, I forgot them. And Ben, in his infinite wisdom or premonition, I don't know what happened, but that's sweet. He got some gifts for some of us, and mine had bolo tie in it, so I was set for the weekend. So I received that there, which was a sign of good things to come. Not for us, but just in general. You'll see. Thursday night is when the first official Darkness Emergent storyline LARP event happens. It's called Meet the Authority. In a Camarilla event, might be called Meet the Court. I went just as press. I didn't actually LARP at this, but I'll still talk about it because it was a LARP. I went, got lots of footage, some of which you can see here, or maybe I'll show as I talk about it. This is for people who have like Elder Plus tickets. It's a smaller LARP, and it includes the special guests. This is where certain plots are introduced, and it provides a more sort of intimate space with less players. It's a great opportunity to get involved in sort of the tentpole plots, interact with the guests, and just sort of get a groove for the LARP. The tentpole plots are revealed on the website and things before the event, so you can familiarize yourself with them and maybe plan for your character to get involved in certain ones. This had a series of them. There's a Nosferatu fashion show. There's a mystery entity recovered from the ocean. Some supernatural secrets buried in the Santa Barbara sands. There's a Banu Hakim contingent negotiating to work with the Anarchs, and a CAM delegation sent to sort of interfere with that. There's some hunter threats. A lot of big things going on, and some of those were introduced at Meet the Authority. The Barons, Victor Temple, and Nellie G arrived to sort of set the agenda for the weekend. We were also introduced to Renato Cristoval, the La Sombra Camarilla ambassador, who you might recognize from New York by Night. Eventually, a box was delivered by the hotel staff that they were sort of confused about. Say, hey, we're supposed to drop this off. We don't really know what's going on. And out of that box popped X, having been rescued from his burial at sea. And as we learned that Teresa Vorman, Baron of Santa Monica, was missing. Nines was missing. Bad news. Things that we had to figure out. But also, X was like, hey, I guess that means I'm Baron now. So we have 3 Barons in the building. There's also like a letter, I believe, leaving the barony to X. I remember Estelle was able to verify through some auspecs that it was legit. I remember X being like, hey, I'll give you $20 just to say it's cool. And then like asked Victor for like, hey, can I borrow $20? It was a good time. I was, again, mostly getting footage, so I was just kind of getting glimpses and snippets of what was happening and picking up on Renato and Victor doing a lot of wheeling and dealing. I saw Nelly G was sort of holding court with her entourage. Also, mad respect for the professional photographers, because like moving in a weird way and like engaging my arms and core to be steady and just lifting a camera up and down for hours kicked my ass, actually. So big ups to those of you who do this for real. Other highlights. I caught a glimpse of, like, so X has been buried at the ocean for years. He's missed out on a few things. He learned about X.com. I thought he owned it. So he was excited about being rich now, apparently. I also saw him have court with the other Malkavians, or cousins as they were calling themselves. They seem to have a great time. I watched Ronaldo expertly navigate a lot of political combat, sort of, with some poor characters who found themselves in opposition to him. It's also really cool moments where I would see people sort of get complimented or recognized by Nelly G, and just sort of like the look of pride on them was really cool to see. Victor, just his presence there, and just nonstop was putting work, pulling threads, working people in the plots. So much was going on. It seemed awesome. Very fortunate to be able to witness it. But I got to dust off for my official Darkness Emergent LARP thing after Club Seraphin. Club Seraphin is what they call a soft RP. It's like an optional RP thing. Sort of a social event. It's open to all attendees. Initially, I thought most people would be going to mostly hang out and not roleplay. But Darkness Emergent people are dedicated. And from what I can tell, it's predominantly roleplay. So good on them. Especially the ones who like did all of the Meet the Authority stuff and then jumped into this. Champs. They transformed the Biltmore Bowl space to like a club, complete with like music, neon lights, all that stuff. They had prop time. They had like bracelets, like little light bracelets you can have, or LED rings to show like if you're LARPing or not. If you're in character, you'd have like your light on. Which, me being hilarious, I had a really fun bit throughout the night where I'd just be able to like pop it on and off to insult people. I had a good time with these. But I was exhausted from just doing like camera stuff, but I rallied. Damn it, that's what I do. I had to be there for my people. Club Seraphin, the very first official Darkness Emergent LARP thing I got to do at this event, is also where the inciting incident, as I like to call it, happened. What was could have been a lighthearted, fun interaction to sort of get in the swing of things, ended up setting in motion a series of events that would shatter my coterie by the end of Darkness Emergent Los Angeles. I'll tell this story as it happens, and I trust you, the audience, to be on my side throughout it all. And also, let this serve as a warning. You cannot trust these kindred. Be vigilant, have your guard up, and never fall in love with Darkness Emergent. So, we kick things off with a coterie meeting. My coterie. As I mentioned in other videos, I recommend showing up with some character connections. If you don't know people going, By Night Studios Discord is a great place, and they have threads specifically for making connections, full of friendly people who will gladly set things up with you. Or just force your friends to go. A real friend will go voluntarily. But our coterie, set the scene. We have the Baron, Abbott Larkin, Gangrel, the passion for tearing through the Second Inquisition, hanging out with critters, balancing his feral ferocity with heart of gold, with compassion for those who can't defend themselves. But then we have the Viceroy, or Vice if you're nasty, a thin blood viscera vendor, wisecracking bookie for our barony. We had Amadi Alobode, a Ventru, and a Nigerian prince. But not prince like the Kindred title, but that Nigerian prince, the one associated with email scams and other grifts. If you know Amir, who played him, then you know he has a penchant for coming up with ridiculous concepts, but playing them completely serious. And it works, and it shouldn't.
Do you have something to say to me?
And then Toledo, of course. He is the emissary, the keeper of the faith for their barony, and the one who brought them all together. Together, we call our coterie the Fringe. Because we're sort of outcasts. We're on the fringe, looking out for the little guys. We're an anarch coterie, part of Salt Lake City. A location none of us are from or familiar with, but it fits with the server we're in. And also, fair warning, if you're claiming to like run this city or be a baron or do whatever, your canon isn't necessarily Darkness Emergent canon, but it's what we do in our server, so it works for here. So we had a meeting to bring Amadi into the fold, as he wasn't on the server, so this was sort of his official introduction to Toledo, bringing him in, vouching for him. We talked about our plans for the event. Toledo wanted to, well, first, he wanted everyone to share any personal business they might have, since that's more his jam than politicking. He's messy. He likes the tea. And it was mostly to sort of mess with Abbott, who he knew something about. But instead of getting the Abbott tea, ended up getting Vice tea, which Vice revealed that its ex was at this event. Toledo's mind was blown. Couldn't imagine Vice even having an ex, let alone an ex here. So I immediately need to know more about that. So that took priority. Toledo wanted to know everything about it, who they were, whatnot. Vice is Vice, so of course, very cagey about it. Didn't reveal much. But eventually, Abbott reined us in. Talked about Mahdi is gonna look for some opportunities to get the bag, bring some money in, some resources for our crew. Abbott wants to represent, the Anarch movement well as a Baron and make a good impression. Most importantly, we want us to be safe, as there were rumors already about of hunters, and the cam was messing with people. Things were going on. It was dangerous, damn it. We also learned that Abbott had a little run-in at the Meet the Authority event with Renato, who sort of, I guess, rudely dismissed Abbott, and we got to defend our guy. So I clocked that. And Toledo wanted to address the disrespect, as before Meet the Authority, Abbott was the only one there in the coterie. But now he was rolling coterie deep, had the crew behind him. So we were ready to back him up. And the series of events, a little blurry, but I know one of the initial things is we spotted Renato, confronted him, and hey, this is a Baron. He's kind of a big deal. You're rude to him. What's up with that? Maybe an apology. This was the idea. And quickly realized we were in over our head. Renato, master of deflection, denied any wrongdoing, expertly sort of threaded the needle of these polite platitudes and sort of passive insults. It was very frustrating and very fun to be casually dismantled by Renato, aka Jason Carl, who, imagine, is really good at politically outmaneuvering other kindred, despite being outnumbered. Toledo's a good talker, but he was out of his element. He doesn't do kindred politics, and he's not really well versed in kindred social sparring. So he knew he wasn't going to get the best of Renato, so he did the brave thing and just sort of casually dipped. Abbott's tough. He could handle himself. Dipped into a conversation with another group of kindred that were there. And one that seemed a little more exciting because it included the woman Vice had pointed out was his ex. Amity also shifted with Toledo, leaving poor Abbott and Vice to finish whatever happened with Renato. And we were introduced to a handful of kindred. There was the lovely business-savvy Toreador Ellen Harvey, played by Rachel Cordell. There was Anna Lysander Ventru, who you might recognize as Tracy, aka Miss Magitect, character she played in Ancestral Blood. There was Henry Towers, Ravnos, played by the very wonderful Avery. And then there's Ida. Ida Ravnos, played by Syrinx, who you might recognize from the Love Bites one-shot over at the Magia RPG channel. Ida was Vice's ex. But as a group, we kind of introduced ourselves, talked about kindred things in general, our intentions for being at this event. Talked about like sires, I remember, our feelings towards humans. Toledo is mechanically very high humanity. He loves to love, and he said that. Hasn't felt anything quite as elating as a blood bond, and I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I guess being a lover at heart was something that some people clocked and then used against me. Was a bit taken aback by the less than compassionate outlooks some of my fellow kindred had, as well as Henry's very delightfully disturbing insights. The conversation shifted, and I had to dig for some info with Ida and Vice, so I did. Toledo and Vice, they give each other shit all the time. In fact, Vice, I don't think has ever used Toledo's name. They painstakingly go through an expansive list of every other city that starts with T and calls them that. It's just a steady stream of disrespect flowing his way. But it goes both ways. And I don't think Toledo got much as far as like the details of what exactly happened between Vice and Ida, but we had to mess with Vice a bit. I think tried making him jealous and like danced with Ida kind of, because it was a club after all. But mostly it was just kind of like less dancing, more like looking at Vice to see if Vice noticed, to get a rise out of them. I think Ida like called Toledo out for like actually not paying that much attention to her, being more concerned about Vice's reaction. Things get a little blurry here. I don't know how it happened, but I just know somehow Ida started worming her way into Toledo's beautiful brain. Started asking questions, making him a little uncomfortable, turning up the tension a little bit, asking why he wouldn't hold eye contact with her. And one thing led to another. And I don't know exactly how it happened, but I do know at one point Toledo ends up just sort of on the defense, sort of flustered. And even though they're supposed to be messing with Vice, now Toledo's getting messed with. It's kind of fucked up. But at this point, Toledo is caught in Ida's aura. And she's enjoying toying with him because she is a villain. And it didn't help that there's an audience for it, you know? None of the other kindred, including his coterie mates, was sticking up for Toledo at all. It was pretty fucked up. Toledo kept sort of digging himself into a deeper hole socially. And eventually something about like Seraphin coins came up. I guess this is this currency that we got from the club or something. I don't know. And Toledo didn't have one. And he's like, hey, I want one. And he's like, Ida, you've kind of been a dick, so you should give me one as an apology for trying to embarrass me. And she agreed. She says, I'll give you one if you beg for it, including like get on your knees, ask for a coin, and I'll give you some. Toledo is, of course, not going to do that. He's too proud to do anything like that, especially in front of other kindred. So he refused. Somehow, he does end up on his knees asking for a coin, but in like a very cool, dignified way. And it worked because Ida gave him 3 coins. So Toledo wins. Though it turns out Ida used some Ravnos, Fata Morgana, illusion, discipline stuff, and make it seem like he got some coins, but he didn't. So yeah, Toledo thinks, hey, night ended. She appreciated my obedience, and I ended the night richer, and I got some of my respect back. So I'm good. It's all good. Now, I never imagined Toledo getting to a situation like this. He came into this event in my mind ready to like confidently push back against like the every tower who looked down on him for being caitiff, for lacking a clan. He's ready to sort of preach his philosophical revelations that he's had from a life among mortals. He wanted to point out some of the hypocrisy of his fellow kindred and their short-sighted political machinations. And a whole character trajectory for the weekend was shattered by this interaction. As was just like the very essence of what I plan on exploring with him. And like the first event I get to beat Toledo in this setting, winds up on his knees asking for change. Didn't see it coming. Did not see it coming. And I know what you're thinking. Like, hey, he didn't have a choice. He was forced against his will. You'd think so. Technically, no disciplines were used to make him do this. But something more powerful was this.
Oh God, can you make my heart stop? Hit me with your kill shot, baby. I mean it so serious. God, can you make
So as you can see, Toledo was a victim here. And I am a gracious LARPer. I am a student of yes and I took one for the team and for the plot. And also, I had no idea that this would, I'm telling you, this spirals into truly a disaster, but we'll get there. Don't make the mistakes I made. And I won't be making them ever again. But this was the first incident in what I'm calling Idagate. And all because, again, wanted a silly little fun interaction, poke some fun advice, and I was punished for trying to have fun. There's a cat. The next night, Saturday, was the first main LARP event. Things kicked off with actually a Clanless meeting. So if you're... I'm going to talk through the tale. You do what you need to do. So in the Discord, you get put in threads or channels for your faction and your clan. Caitiff and Thin Bloods are thrown in the same one because of discrimination. But we kind of rallied behind that. It was cool. Bonded over a status or lack thereof. And I'm terrible at Discord or anything online community facing. So I joined like right before the event. But I dove right in and everyone's very cool. And here we are. We got a nice pick. And also, the Thin Bloods especially, they showed up with the coolest props. Shout out, we had Piper, Medicine Man, Fortune, Kieran, Leviticus, Pain. And they brought really cool things. This briefcase full of blood bags, different alchemy things. It was awesome. It was so cool, the things they made and the effort they put in to... I love props. And Thin Bloods had the best ones, hands down. Alchemist showed up and represented. But the first official thing is you have a faction meeting. There's numerous factions you can join that are outside of necessarily like Anarchic Camarilla. They're a little more focused on specific goals or things in common. And Toledo's in the Epicureans. A little snippet about them. They defy monotony, indulging in passion, beauty, and rare delights to make immortality unforgettable. They are the providers of those who partake. That's awesome. That's Toledo. He's here for a long time and a good time, baby. And it was cool. There's some familiar faces there. There was Camilla de la Sombra. There was Kumari, the minister. There was Scylla Nagaraja. All characters Toledo was familiar with through our little Alliance service stuff. Also recognized his name's Donnie from he was in Wilted Lily with me in Chicago. We both wound up with Epicureans. Ain't that fun? So we got like a folder with sort of tasks and some things to do. There's a box that could only be opened by a Bahari. But our faction task that we had involved a kindred perfume line. It was, the first part of it was identifying the perfume samples to see if there were, the provider thought someone was maybe making counterfeits or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But people had heightened senses or whatnot, were able to do that. And then the larger task that we had to do throughout the night was getting Kindred to smell the 6 different perfume fragrances that are like different blood, kindred, perfume, something. And then rank them in order of their preference. So their favorite to least favorite. And then also state if they thought any smelt the same. We needed people from each faction to participate, as well as various clans and sect representation. And our faction would be paid for this. And then we'd receive additional pay if we got extra participants outside the required ones. Which kind of just seemed like a product survey. And others, there's definitely a group that was kind of disappointed in this for, I think, good reason. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make the best of this. There's got to be something else, and I'm going to find a way to make it fun. Let's dive in. And also, I can see that some of the others aren't feeling it, so I'll be useful, and I'll be a good kindred and take one for the team, for the faction. And I offer to take the lead on it. Also, I said something about like spray and pray, and that clicked for me. I'm like, all right, I already got catchphrases with this. Let's go. And it would give me an opportunity to interact with a lot of people. And that's what I'm here to do. And plus, I had that stash of Fang coin from Chicago. So I can use that to like pay for people to participate if I wanted to. And I was willing to use my own coin for the cause. Another way just to look good, get the respect of my fellow kindred. And then again, thought I could do some razzle dazzle, just be over the top with it, make it fun. And lean into sort of the preacher salesman thing. And we got some boons as a faction, including one from, I think each faction probably got one from one of the special guests. Ours was a boon for Jasper. And I hung on to that one since I was one sort of taking the lead. So I was trusted to hold on to it. But it was for the faction. So, get my perfumes. Got some other people working with me. Other people were going to be like the recruiters to get people and send them to me. And I'd be the one doing actual surveys, spraying and praying. Got to the main LARP room. First, I did some of my press videographer stuff. So got some footage, which you can see here. And picked like a corner table away from like the far end of the room. So I wouldn't be like spraying perfume in an area everyone had to walk through. Set up the paperwork, my perfume, the recruiters, ready to go. And then we did the damn thing. I had some really fun interactions with it, actually. Sort of, it gave me a chance to ask people questions, I had to get like their name, their clan, their faction, their sect, and I can sort of make comments on that. It was fine, but I picked up pretty early that if I just like did it by the book, it would be pretty boring. And also it wasn't quick. Like it's spraying 6 different things and figuring it out and whatnot. So like if there's a few people at the table, it's a lot of just like waiting around. I can only really interact with like a person at a time. So to speed things up and to add some dramatic flair, started doing like vibe checks. Like it's like, hey, are you cool? You seem cool, especially if someone's like an anarch or something that they told me. And I'd say those are the ones I would offer my Fang coins to, and be like, look, I give you a coin, you write down your name, and I just kind of fill this out for you. I randomly rank them, whatever, and then you get to go on your merry way and enjoy your night. Don't have to do all this bullshit. You get a coin, I get my info, everyone's happy. Which is, it's fun to like someone sitting down to just smell perfume versus like, oh, I can get in on a little duplicity, be a little naughty. And also some people were stoked to do the perfume thing, and some people really actually, I could tell, like understood perfumery or whatever. So it was fun sort of just seeing them do it. And a lot of people were happy to take my coin and were cool to, do a little under the table action. It was also funny because like I wasn't offering everyone coins, so I'd like give someone a coin. And I remember at one point someone across the table was like, I didn't get paid to do it. And I was like, oh, well, you didn't seem cool, sorry. But they got one too. So again, it set up some other interactions that were kind of fun. I was waiting for there to be like another layer to the whole thing. And I knew I was essentially not doing the survey correctly in a way that wasn't useful for the people who wanted it. But also I'm like, it's kind of fishy collecting all this information on Kindred, right? Masquerade, supposed to be secretive and whatnot. And anyone who has too much info, that's a dangerous thing. So I was like, really, I'm kind of a hero for messing this up and being a little under the radar with it. So if I was going to get in trouble, I'd be like, actually, I did this to protect the Kindred. And not just because I was a little bit lazy and bored. So again, just hero behavior. But also if I got caught and got in trouble, like that's fun. And I'm in this to like have interesting interactions and let plots develop and react to things rather than just like succeed overwhelmingly at everything I set out to do. So I was like, if I got caught, that's a fun turn of events. Let's see what happens with that. Especially since I didn't tell the faction that I was cheating. So I could get in trouble by my own people that I did all this to impress in the first place. Bless Celia for being my partner in crime, helping run the table. She was checking the sheet and was like, wait a minute, you have this person down, but I just went and recruited them. They said they haven't done it yet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, look, I'm cheating. Sorry, I didn't want you to know so you could have plausible deniability. I was like, hey, because maybe someone just wipe your mind so you forget that you caught me. She's like, okay, cool. Well, whatever you have to tell me, you have like a few minutes to do it because all this is going to be gone. That was a fun little interaction we had. But eventually I got pretty much all the requirements we needed. I think there's just a couple left, and then Celia took over, as well as kept going. You got like bonus participants, so got extra money for our faction. So good on them for putting up with Toledo and getting the job done. And just in time. So I was starting to go a little stir crazy. So I passed on that task and then set off. Also, during the perfume thing, the Barons and Jasper came to the balcony to welcome everyone, as seen here. They set the stage, announced the salons that each of them would be hosting. And I decided I wanted in on the Anarch delegation. This is a really great moment with Nelly Chi, the megaphone. But done with the perfume stuff, Barons did their thing, and walked around for a bit, just sort of checking in with kindred I recognized, some I didn't, seeing if they had heard anything interesting or what they were getting into. Spoke with some of the other Epicureans, the one I knew who were not happy about our task. And it was Donnie talked about he planned on like letting whoever gave us a task have a little piece of his mind, let him know that this was beneath us. I liked that. I ran into Amity, who had a cat. So there's a plot where there were cat ghouls running around, and people are collecting them. It's a fun thing where you could send in a picture of a cat, and some of them got chosen to be printed out as these cat ghoul props. But somebody found the Ventrue cat, was carrying it around. Also, there was someone that they were looking for who they knew was scared of cats, but they're using it to find that person. I don't know what happened with that, but Toledo also didn't know what the fuck was happening with that. But things weren't all perfume and cats. There was danger about Ida. So, caught up with Baron Abbott and Amity, and we confronted Ida because at this point, Toledo realized those coins, they weren't coins. Trickery. Bullshit. I was owed. So I called her out big time for tricking me and saying, hey, you owe me coins and an apology. And she was like, oh, I never technically promised a coin and blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the exact wording she used, but she, of course, said it in a way, I'm sure at the time, where technicality, bullshit. She knew she was wrong. So I called her out for using Dominate on me because I would have never embarrassed myself like that. Toledo never would have got on his damn knees, and she dominated him, and that's rude. And she's like, in Ravnos, I don't even have Dominate, and just technically true. But also, it kind of worked out because Toledo was like, yeah, and the reason I was avoiding eye contact wasn't because I was scared of getting lost in your beautiful eyes. It was actually because smart, and I knew you were trying to dominate me, and a lot of dominate powers require eye contact, so I was avoiding it. Another win for Toledo. All I know is she had excuses, and once again, the people who are supposed to have my back didn't. They believed her excuses and her lies, and Toledo was on the defense again. And then she started doing Ida things.
Oh God, can you make my heart stop? Hit me with your kill shot, baby. I've been so serious. God, can you make
Yeah. And Toledo might have got a little flustered again. And then Ida said, you know what? Yeah, sure. I'll apologize. I'll set things straight at Succubus Club later. And I think at some point she used awe on him, which he also used awe back on her. That was fun. All in all, Toledo won that exchange. And let things go until then. There's bigger fish to fry. Then ran into a Hakata named Lee. He just walked up, offered Toledo a bar of gold. And, you know, first Toledo's like, oh, hell yeah, I'll take it. But then also, like, this is wildly suspicious. And even though I'm yes and everything, there's some like, let me at least ask just some basic questions. I asked him a bit about himself. But I learned that Lee was part of a Kumari barony. Kumari is an Epicurean, also a baron that one of the few anarchs in our little alliance. So someone I was looking to impress and make a good impression on. So realizing he was one of his, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna help you out. But, let's figure out what the fuck's going on with this gold. First I was going to be like, you know, a lot of things is like you do a favor and you get a favor type of thing. But I'm like, hey, all you got to do is let Kumari know that Toledo did just solid and we're good. But yeah, this was when I got my first, like, we got to like find a storyteller and do some, interact with some of that stuff. Lee didn't know anything about the Spark Gold, just knew one is just trying to give it away. So with a storyteller, I got to, again, Toledo's pretty powerful, you know? Someone to be respected, maybe even feared and admired. He's got all sorts of aspects of presence and shit. He uses telepathy, I believe, learned Lee's thoughts, like what was actually going on, and realized Lee actually didn't know anything. Something had fucked with his mind. Was able to like dive deeper and realize that he was just like scared almost of the Spar of Gold, just needed to give it away, but needed someone to like take it willingly. Was like terrified of it. And like, so clearly this is some sort of like cursed item. So I'm like, you know, I'm gonna help you out. Let's go find someone to give this to and see what happens. So I'm with Lee to find a victim. And again, Toledo's a charmer. And he's got presence if he needs it. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be able to easily convince someone to accept this gold willingly. Plus, this is exactly the sort of weird shit that Toledo would love. And potential trouble, potential fun. We spotted Isabella. Someone I'd seen with some Malkavians before doing stuff with X. So I'm like, you know what? Let's give this curse item to a Malk, see what happens. And also, it was it's Let, world famous Let. And I wouldn't feel bad about cursing her character in or out of game, so we're all about it. But also, I didn't have to do a thing. I don't think I even said anything. They just pointed her out, and he's like, hey, here's this gold, and she just grabbed it. And I was like, of course. So literally flawless. So then my hands were clean. Then Toledo's like, I want to see what the fuck happens. So I'm gonna get in her mind, and we're gonna follow and see where this takes us. So it's a storyteller again. And that's where we got to see the item's curse take hold. It was did a thing that would like, he's like, all right, so it asks a little bit about her character, and then so it makes you do something very out of character for a character. She was an anarch. She was here with someone from her coterie. It's like, all right, you're gonna go tell your coterie mate that you're leaving the anarch movement to join the Ivory Tower. And then after you say this, you will forget everything about that you said it or why you said it or all of that. So you're gonna do this outlandish thing and then forget it even happened, causing a little chaos, you know. And then you're going to become obsessed or like scared with getting rid of this gold, but someone has to take it willingly. And also, as this happened, Lee's memories suddenly returned. He did an awesome job sort of role playing this mental backlash hitting him. He's trying to make sense of everything. It's like Toledo's explaining to him, all right, this was going on, blah blah blah. You're good now. I'll see what happens with this gold, but don't forget, tell Komari your buddy Toledo helped you out. And then later, if you want to find out more about like what the fuck happened, get with me. We'll get to the bottom of this. But Toledo felt a little bad about Isabella, but also saw an opportunity there. So followed her to see where this gold ended up. Watched her approach her coterie mate, and tell him. And Toledo went to the guys like, "Hey, you're in danger." He's like, "Wait, what?" And then he's like, "Wait, hang on." She's trying to say something. And he's talking to her. They start talking. They start talking in Portuguese. I don't know what they're saying, but it was very cool watching them, just like the physicality of them, like, and I know the gist of what she's telling him. So it was, I don't know, it was really cool watching it happen just through their acting and body language, and then also like sprinkling some vampire words that I recognized. It's a really cool interaction. He's freaking out and like, what are you talking about? Like losing his mind over this. And she dips. And then I'm like, hey, let me guess. She just told you she's leaving the Anarch movement to join the Ivory Tower. And I don't speak Portuguese. So aren't you curious of why I know that? He's like, yes, actually. And also you said I was in danger. So Toledo explains, hey, it's that bar of gold she had, blah, blah, blah. It made her say that. She didn't mean it. And she's not going to remember she said it. And also trying to maybe angle a favor of like, I can help you, but like you'll owe me. And he's like, yeah, so what's the danger part? And I was like, well, when she gives you the gold, and I'm like, wait a minute, she didn't give you the gold. I'm like, where the fuck is she? And like, as I'm saying that, she walks, she's just kind of there again. No gold in her hand. And the time I explained to him what was going on, she had given it away to someone. So I was like, oh, well, I guess they're not in danger, because I thought she was going to give you the gold, and then never mind. And then I'm like, I kind of feel bad about this mess. So actually, you don't owe me anything. You just take care. Again, hero, good Samaritan. And it was just very funny that how quickly I explained things and the fucking curse was onto someone else. But Bidamadu kept looking for stuff. Oh, actually, then it was so there are different salons, like little meetings that the Barons and Jasper were hosting, and Victor's salon was about to happen. So I went to that with Amity, who it was supposed to be like a business, like about business dealing, the money or something. I don't know, stuff Toledo doesn't really care about, but Amity does. But Toledo just knows, hey, I know Victor's assigning anarchs as like delegates for some important thing, and since I'm trying to be like a kindred now and do politics, might as well jump to the top and see what that's all about. So I wanted to get in on that. So we went to the salon. And so a bunch of us were kind of filling this room. I don't know his character's name, but Ify Nwadaway was there, which looks so fucking cool. I know his partner and some of his crew were there too, but it was especially funny because Ify and Ify's background is there, and Amir's playing a Nigerian prince. So I was just waiting for that interaction because that was fun. But as things kicked off, Baron Temple's like, hey, anyone interested in being selected as an Anarch delegate? Go see my accountant over at that side of the room. Which he had an accountant, ghoul, kindred, something there working for him. So I moseyed over there. And while he was talking to other people about business stuff, we were given W-2 forms to fill out. And it's clearly some sort of test. And which I'm like, oh, this is kind of a fun, whatever thing. But also like kind of stressful because it was like, there was no instructions. It's just, here's a W-2 to fill out. And it's like, okay, what's the catch? I loved it. But it was a W-2, meaning ask for like your social security, your name, address, all that stuff. And kindred being kindred probably doesn't have these or shouldn't. And also, again, giving people information is giving them power over you. So a lot of people are very reluctant to do that. Toledo's built different. He's a clever lad. And he figured, this is a test. This is a business dude. So he probably wants to see who has like a mask or can masquerade or is business savvy enough to have information to put down and operate in this realm and things like that. So filled it out. But I noticed a lot of other people like leaving certain things blank or putting aliases or like Xing out their social and stuff like that. Not me. Filled all that out. And I watched as the accountant looked at the forms, separated them into different piles. One pile was much smaller than the other. And that was also the pile mine went in. Now, I didn't want to have any doubts because I was like, if I just leave this up to whatever and I don't hear about it, like I don't have a delegate, like that sucks. That's like the big thing I'm trying to do. So I'm like, I gotta make sure. So I asked the accountant, I'm like, hey, I see these couple piles here. You mind telling me which is the good pile? And he's of course like, oh no, blah blah blah. I suggest, and he's like, and I'm like, hey, I'm using entrancement by the way, so I'm hitting the Baron's accountant with a little presence power so I could find out what's what. I failed, and I got hit with a look that shook me, shot me right to the core, fucking rattled my bones. It was fucking scary, dude. I felt like I was like in trouble, and also like in danger. And this is also the moment where I recognize Nox from Hunter's Entertainment, who has played some amazing NPCs at the various Darkness Emergent events, was an accountant. He was like a badass Sabat I know in Vegas. He was a changeling, like a fae in Chicago. Here, he was this fucking nerd. So, like, I didn't even recognize him, but he's such a good role player. Like, So it was a moment of both recognizing, like, motherfucker, that's Nox, and then also, like, oh, I'm fucked. Such intensity. It was amazing. The energy shifted. Things felt bad. I knew I was in deep shit, which was accurate. I was right. So he hit me with a good line too. Like, just leaned in. He's like, I suggest you giddy up on out of here, cowboy, immediately. And I was like, understood. And I moseyed on out of there. Though on the way, popped by Amity, who's like, hey, I'm going to go fill out this thing and be delegate. And I came back. I'm like, hey, I just tried to entrance Victor's guy and I'm getting kicked out of the meeting. So it was fun just giving him a little update. On my way out, I stalled, I looked, and I watched as he found my paper. And he put it into the big pile, which means I did it right. I got into I passed the test, and if I didn't interfere, I could have been selected, which sucks, but it's also hilarious. I love that I fucked it up with my own buffoonery. So that was that. My dreams were dashed. Or were they? So after the Salon, actually maybe before, I ran into a thin blood friend, medicine man, learned a bit what he was up to. He was trying to find a person, something connected with like a hunter plot. I had the power of premonition. I get feelings, I get visions, damn it. And I used it, found a storyteller, helped him find out, like he was looking for where this person was. And I had the premonition, the storyteller described like the geography. And I was like, oh, it's like the Southwest. Okay. So like big region, but we're kind of narrowing it down. They're like in this country, at least. Then storyteller's like, actually, where are you from? Like your character. And I'm like, oh, well, the Texas territory, or what became Texas. They're like, oh, well, in that case, you recognize it as Texas. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. That my little character thing ended up being like, I happen to be from where this person we're looking for is, so I more specifically recognized it. That was a fun little thing. Was able to help my Duskborn friend out. Also, there's some other people I remember ran into. I had a cool interaction with Fortune. Amazing look, by the way. Checked in what they had going on. They're also sort of like, I'm kind of bored with what's going on. You find any interesting? I'm like, no. You find it interesting? No. I'm like, we'll keep each other in the loop if we get in trouble. Ran into Harlequin, who had a very cool conversation with. So they're Nosferatu. And it's like a very good, cool in-character introduction conversation of like, later's like, oh, you're a Nos, but, and I've played it out in like this other role play that he doesn't really like Nos because the ones he's interacted with keep vanishing when he's talking to them, which he thinks is rude as fuck. And he's like, don't do that. But this one is, see for yourself. Awesome fucking costume, awesome look. And also it's like, oh, keeping the masquerade, right? Not showing you're a Nos, but also like a lot of Nos don't want to be seen, right? And I'm like, oh, you're attracting, you're drawing attention to yourself. That's really interesting. Yeah, and they talked about how they're like an underground, it was like an EDM musical artist, also like kind of a philanthropist. They also like humans and like enjoying living life to the fullest. They don't get bogged down with political stuff. They actually like being among the people. Had a lot in common with Toledo. It was kind of cool. This cowboy and this fucking badass cyber Nos are like, actually, me and you could be pretty tight. Yeah, there was just a fun little conversation about that. I also, after the incident in Victor Temple's salon, I started asking around about the Barons. Asking some people like, hey, what do you know about the Barons? Getting some stuff about specifically like, do they get along? What's their deal in their coterie? Who's, what's what? Any of them not get along? I was cooking something up. Since I messed up with Victor, I needed another in. Also, I checked with Abbott a couple times. At one point, I thought I lost him because I went to like get a drink and came back. And Abbott was gone, and I was worried about Robert. I'm like, oh, did you leave? Everything okay? He just went to a salon. It was fine. But got to catch up with him. Said like, hey, I did it. I passed the test to get made delegate. But then I got kicked out, and I got kicked. I'm no longer can be delegate. And it started, there was just a thing I kept doing all weekend, which I had a lot of fun with, which was like talking to Abbott about like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. And then coming back and be like, well, this went wrong. I had a lot of fun just kind of giving him updates, and bless that Baron for every time he saw me probably had some bad news or something to do with. I had a blast with it though. But it's like, hey, I got kicked out of this, but I have a plan. Trust me. And I'm going to go to Jasper Salon to make it happen. Cut to Jasper Salon. In Jasper Salon, there's some like magic item, like a broken urn that we had to put together. People like touch the pieces, had different like visions or heard parts of like a story. And some had different like backlashes and effects and stuff like that. And this whole group were able to like put the pieces together based on this narrative. Got a special effect from it where I got to like pass a rouse check or something that like all of us got from being around it. I didn't actually do anything. I was just there because I was really there to talk to Jasper. But hey, got hit with the magic aura, baby. But at the end, I showed him like, so boons, you get like little cards. Actually, apparently I missed it. I wish there's someone there who would like laser engrave your own boon cards if you wanted. Very cool. I want that. But this is a boon that you get as part of like being in the faction, or in the storytellers have them out for Jasper. If you remember, this was the Epicurean's boon to be used for our faction. So I say, hey, I show him the boon. He's like, where'd you get this? And because Jasper's not the type to give people boons. And I was like, well, I didn't get it. I was like, the Epicureans. I'm like, there's a faction of hedonistic winos who have a boon for you, or who do you owe a boon to. I was like, this is supposed to be for all of them. I was like, so it could go to where like, who knows what they're going to ask you to do. I was like, or I could cash in this boon for myself. And all I want is for you to get me on Victor's Anarch delegation. Because I know you got some pull with him. And I heard through the grapevine that you don't always see eye to eye. And wouldn't you know it, earlier, I got kicked out of Victor's Salon. So if he sees me show up, or if you're like, hey, I need this guy to be a delegate, and he's like, okay, and then I show up, he's going to be like, motherfucker. And I'm like, it's going to annoy him. So either you could owe this boon to a bunch of fancy lads, or I cash this boon in, it's gone. You don't have to worry about owing anyone anything, and you get to annoy Victor. And he gave me that grin. He took it. He's like, I can make that happen. I was in, baby. So I'm stoked. And it's also funny that I used the boon meant for a whole faction to the very selfish reason, and also a reason that because I fucked up so bad otherwise, I'd use this to fix my fuck up. Again, I was doing things like not to fuck with people's stuff, but like to give me an opportunity to get caught and get in trouble, and it could turn into something interesting. But fun all around. And it was like the last thing that happened that night. I was in. So then I got to go back to Abbott and be like, I'm back, baby. You're looking at maybe an Anarch delegate this time tomorrow. He's like, shit, okay, awesome. And then the Succubus Club was after that. Succubus Club was another light RP social event. This was actually open in the Biltmore in the Gold Room. Again, they transformed it into this awesome ambiance, as you see here, vampire nightclub. It was soft RP. It was also open to the public. Other people could get tickets and come. Though there's a lot of people and a lot going on, and some parts of this are a blur. But again, Darkness Emergent folks lock in and they role play. So this is another one I'm like, oh, no one's really gonna be role playing by this. They sure were. And I was right there with them. This was hosted by Annabelle Toreador. Some of you familiar with the lore might be familiar with. Played by Miss Magitech in this instance. I did spend a good chunk of it just getting footage, which is why you get to see this cool footage. But I popped the hat on, got to do a little bit of Toledo action again. You know, I was feeling good after my little Jasper maneuver. I talked to Elena Harvey again. And I learned that she had beef with Lasombra. And she was describing Lasombra and pointed her out. And I was like, that's Olivia Myers, who Toledo knew from Darkness Emergent Chicago. That's the kindred that him. And that's the kindred that he got a confession from after they helped her calm down from a compulsion. And actually interacted with her at the perfume table and was like, oh, hey, I know you, blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, yeah, a lot's changed about me since then. Because then she was kind of a scared ex-Sabat in over her head, it seemed like, and had been through some fucked up shit. Now seemed very much more confident and a little devious. It was fun seeing that the change between Chicago, I believe she had been in Vegas, to here. Because again, a lot of people play the same characters and really develop their arcs over these events. So this was a cool example of that. So I got a little update on that about some of the changes. And then she hit me with a line. I don't know the exact line, but it's like, oh, how are you feeling like this event compared to Chicago? She's like, well, so far it's better because no one's made me confess anything. I was like, damn, okay. Sassy, okay. I thought I was being nice, but yeah, I guess I could understand maybe you didn't like that. Bully, loved it. But Toledo's like, okay, I clocked that. So fast forward to Succubus Club, Elena's like, oh, that's her. And I'm like, I know that kindred. And she had a little bit of attitude. So let's cause trouble. I'll help you. In fact, I got a confession out of her before, so I know some of her personal shit that I'll let you use against her. Getting into trouble, having fun. So I gather some people, we're crewed up, we're rolling up on her. Also, Lena's dangerous. She's all about it. She's like, hell yeah, give me that info, let's get her. We approached, but Anna, the player of Liv, living her best life. It's like, hey, I'm clubbing. We got to RP this out later. Respect it. But I was like, Toledo was like, hey, let's roll here and kind of in a squad right now. And I was about to support you. How about you support me? Because Elena, you're like this cool, badass vampire, and I need that backup. Let's keep this energy going. Let's ambush another redhead. And I point out, you guessed it, Ida. So we roll up, full squad, ready to big dog her. She's on the dance floor. I demand an apology and the coin I was owed. Ida was shaking, terrified. Maybe she was more swaying and dancing, but either way, somehow ended up sort of dancing with me as an apology. I tried getting my people to stop her and be like, no, I want I want the coin and a real apology. And they're like, hey, this looks like a better apology than that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, fuck you guys. You're supposed to have my back. And once again, you don't. They abandoned me, kindred or not, loyal. So Toledo was not able to get his dignity back in this encounter. But in his defense,
Oh God, can you make my heart stop? Hit me with your kill shot, baby. I've been in so serious. God, can you
but later that night, I think after the RP or whatever, I go back room. There's a coin in my pocket. At some point, it has slipped the coin in my pocket and actually did pay me back without me even noticing. My mind was blown by that. It could have been something really obvious, but in my head, it was like the coolest sleight of hand secret. Like, I'm like, it's like a reverse pickpocket situation. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? And when did that happen? It was super cool. It was super cool. So I was like, damn, okay. So she got to actually give me the coin back and make things right without anyone noticing. So I can't actually be mad and still publicly sort of big dogged me in front. I'll give her that one. And that was the end of the Saturday LARPing. Was right in that high with turning things around with the Jasper, and then he just shot me down. But all of this just awoken Dark Toledo. The next day, night 2 of the main LARP, what I call Dark Toledo, which really was just this look in a mask. more Orville Peck than anything, but I was like, no, damn it. He's riding high. He's getting this mojo back. He's being confident. He's getting the respect again. He's going to be a delegate. We're setting things right. This is the last night. It's all coming up Toledo. Luckily, I'm also like, oh shit, I lied on that survey form, and I also used the boon that our whole faction is supposed to have. And each night begins with a faction meeting, then the LARP, and I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble. Luckily, I learned the delegation meeting for the people selected to be delegates is happening at the same time as the faction meeting. So I was like, I get to miss the faction meeting, slip out of those consequences to go be a delegate. Beautiful, beautiful. So got to be important and dodge consequences. The delegation meeting was intense. So they don't fuck around. We were given like a full information packet of subjects that would be discussed. There are numerous issues that like the Camarilla were bringing up with demands they had for the Anarchs, a couple that the Anarchs had for the Cam. The main one, the climax of it, was this plot involving what's called the Mountain, this faction of Banu Hakim that were being hunted by, it was a big schism within that clan. Some of them wanted some assurances, some help from the Anarch movement and whatnot. It was the big important one, and it was one I paid the least attention to because Toledo, baby. That seemed in over his head on that. Was going to kind of defer to some other people. So yeah, had this information packet. Packet had like the actual like the thing being discussed, the issue being discussed. Then it had different possible outcomes or demands, including it like listed like here's the one the Anarchs want the most, and here's the one that would be the worst for the Anarchs. So if you didn't just fully know all this lore and whatever political stuff, you could just be like, okay, it says clearly this is what I should be going for, and take it from there. Then Baron Victor Temple arrived, told us, again, dude's committed, dude's involved, got his hands everywhere. He went through them one by one and kind of told us his personal take on each one, including some like negotiation advice, which ones are important to like him personally. Like I care about this one, you can let him have it. It was a cool moment, and it kind of brought it into the current, like, felt like the story arc and kind of grounded what potentially would have just been a lot of information to take in. We met the mediators, who were representatives of the Banu Hakim from the Mountain. They're involved in that issue, but they would excuse themselves for that final debate because obviously it was about them. One of them, who often plays NPCs for the big stories, I know is a lawyer in real life, so that was cool. So he explained how the delegation would be structured and mediated, and we'd be given time and a rebuttal and whatnot. And of the delegates, there's supposed to be 6 Cam delegates, 6 Anarch delegates. This was just the Anarch meeting, obviously, and I recognized a good chunk of them from our little side RP stuff. Viceroy was a delegate. I don't know if the fuck that happened. Odysseus, fellow emissary. Ravnos, the lovely Inez, minister. Payne, Thinblood. And there's also, some of the names are going to escape me. There's like Sin, like Echo, Doctor, what was her name? Doctor something. She was really cool. And then there's a couple people that were selected by Nelly G. Most important part, there's delegate sashes. Fucking loved this because the whole time Toledo's like, I gotta get people to respect me. I'm getting fucking embarrassed here and there for stuff. How do I show people that I could do this stupid kindred shit? This makes it official. So I sashed up, and also, like I said, there's only supposed to be 6 of us. There were more than 6 people there, much more. But when Victor was there, he's like, I see we have more. And they're being cool, not like kicking people or whatever. They're like, sure. I don't know what happened while some got in. But it's like, we'll have alternatives. Just make sure we only have 6 at a time for the actual like negotiation table. That's cool. But this is where we're left to our own devices. People just started talking about different things like, oh, this applies to me because this. And people started having just random conversations. Well, not random. They're, I think, mostly about the items, but was all over the place. There's too many of us. And storyteller in me came out a little bit. And also, I'm like, you know what? Toledo's an organizer. He's a cult leader. He knows how to get people focused and behind one cause. So I had to fucking rally these damn troops, these fucking anarchs. And I was like, hey, before we start just randomly talking about stuff, we need to know who's going to be debating which ones. So let's like let's pick 6 for each. So everyone like tell me what their favorite is. That was too hard. So I just went one at a time. Like, all right, item number 1, who wants in on this? And I wrote their names down. I got it done. Otherwise, we would have looked like fucking idiots up there. So I got us organized. And then that way also, like, it's kind of nice we had more than 6 because you didn't have to know all of the items. You could just sort of focus like, right, here's the 3 I'm doing. Let me read those packets. And so I thought it was a smart thing all around. And also kind of felt fun and in character of Toledo. It's like, oh shit, I do belong here. And actually they're fucking lucky to have me here because this would have been a mess without me fucking wrangling these cats. We talked strategy briefly. Victor gave us some tips before, and then we talked about amongst ourselves. I think most of us were on the same page as Victor for most things, which the main thing we talked about is like, we're not going to give up any of our people. We're not giving up any anarch because some of them are like, we demand you surrender this anarch or blah, blah, blah. We're like, that doesn't happen. We don't give up any of our people. And some of the things were like, we demand you condemn this or say this is bad. And Victor's like, hey, it's fucking words. And it's the tower. Like, say whatever you want. If they want us to be like, oh, we shame on this Baron for doing this bad thing, we'll say shame on this Baron. And then we go back to doing whatever we wanted to do. Right? We're fucking anarchs. And if you think the tower isn't going to like lie, cheat, and steal, you're crazy. Anarchs, we're people of action. We're going to focus on action and not giving up our people. So let the cam collect their statements, their empty platitudes, while we take care of business. And also we can seem very appeasing and generous to work with them by giving up some ones that don't actually matter to us. So everyone seemed to generally understand the strategy and be on the same page. And that's sort of also like the one advantage we as anarchs had over Camarilla, who are very well versed in politics. So Toledo had a sash. He was a delegate. He had fucking took control of this chaotic meeting. Plus I looked good. Toledo was back, baby. The first part of like the actual LARP kicking off, the main event after the meetings was the Nosferatu fashion show, which check out the Cynthia Marie interview. Talks about sort of the background of that, how it's connected from the LA by Night plot. It's really cool. A lot of my friends got to walk in it. Amadi was in it. Involved tons of people. Took a little bit to like set up. Took a while, but so during that setup, walked around, talked to Abbott for a while. Got to chat with Kieran Rivers, fellow Clanless thin blood who wanted a blood sample. And, you know, normally it's, again, the thing, like, don't give a vampire your blood. That's not a good thing, especially as, like, there's wizards and shit that could do stuff with it. But I gotta look out for my Clanless, so I'll let them do their thing. And the reason it was cool, they're doing, I don't know if it's part of, like, the Promethean Conclave, something where they're doing some experiment to try to, like, learn about, like, the originator of the Caitiff or whatnot. Which is something Toledo's against, because he's like, hey, I think it's cool we don't care about lineage and originator or this and that. Like, that's stuff that's, like, a burden to everyone else. Like, we're above that by not worrying about it. But you're cool, so I'll let you do it for your thing. And also they're like a medic. So and I'm like, hey, I'm a delegate. And there rumors are going out at this point that delegates were disappearing. So I'm like, I might get targeted, and if I need help, you got me. I'm like, hell yeah. So worked out a little exchange there. And then it was also funny because like Abbott came up with some of the coterie to talk to me, and I'm like getting my blood drawn as I'm talking. And Abbott's like, what the fuck? Is this okay? Like, what's happening? I'm like, yeah, it's cool. They're just taking my blood. Anyway, what's up? Again, I loved throwing these things at Abbott. Thank you for your patience. He's just trying to look out for us. And he did a good job. But coterie came in. Vice was there. Amadi was there. Abba was there. Because Amadi comes up and he's like, hey, I was going to rob you, but I decided not to. Which, aka, I found out he told Vice he was going to rob me. And then Vice came to snitch on him. So then he came to tell me himself that actually I was going to rob you, but now I'm not, as if he was doing me a favor. Classic. Because they're both in the Arsene Society, which is a faction of criminals. And one of their tasks was to get a copy of the delegate, one of the pages of the delegate packet from the Anarchs. Delegate. And I had it. But Abbott, who's a baron, proud Anarch's like, hey, no, we're not like giving up Anarch info that'll fuck this up. So Toledo, clever lad that he is, it's like, hey, how about I make a decoy? I'll come up with some sort of fake document, then you point me out as an easy target. They take it from me, so your faction gets paid, because like they don't know what the actual document is, because they're trying to get a copy of it. They don't know what it is, so they won't know that it's fake if it's something halfway believable. So you guys still get paid for it. Then I don't give up the Anarchs. Win-win. And also, that sounds fun as hell. I'd love to be a little decoy. Did that, and Amadi's like, all right, that works, but like I can't know, so I'm gonna make a different Arsene person, someone else from the faction, do it. So like it's on them if this goes bad. Clever. I grabbed some papers, shoved them in my folder, and hid my other ones, and waited to be targeted. Yeah, I was excited to see this play out. I was also excited to spot her. So I see Ida. There's like an art display at a table. There's a Wilted Lily who's doing some sort of art show thing. Ida was looking at it with some members of her coterie. So Toledo walks up and like leans on the table when the people's like immediately like, don't lean on the art. I'm like, my bad. But trying to show off the stash, trying to show chest, like anything look different about me. And she's like, yeah, you're wearing a mask tonight. I'm like, well, yeah, but anything else? And Toledo's like, hey, this means I'm a delegate of the Anarch movement. Very big deal. That means I'm important. That means I'm respected and have a lot of people look up to me and don't think I'm a foolish kindred that could be fucked with like some people do. So I'm kind of a big deal if you didn't notice. Other people notice. So, and then Ida loved it. She was so impressed. But seemed stuck on the mask thing. And started getting very like, oh, actually, yes, this is so impressive. Aren't you impressive? Blah, blah, blah. Started doing, this stuff.
Oh God, can you make my heart stop? Hit me with your kill shot, baby. I've been so serious. God, can you make
It was a little embarrassing because like her coteries there, including Dove, who someone I also remembered from Chicago and had to act cool in front of now. So I was a little embarrassed. Ida got a little friendly. And lo and behold, turns out she needed something from Toledo. And I wanted to know why the Epicureans are wearing masks. And I'm like, no, I'm just wearing this mask for fashion. I look good, damn it. But also, I don't know why. Because, I wasn't in the faction meeting, so Toledo generally didn't know why. I guess we got another thing with masks and stuff like that. I don't know. I was a delegate now, and that was supposed to be impressive, and now she's asking about the stuff I skipped, of course. So she awes me, and she thinks I'm lying, and throw a little, you could like, do your Rochambeau, do your test to like insight, and I think she insights me to be like, are you lying? And again, because I'm a yes saying king, I'm like, Toledo can't lie to Ida. He's telling the truth. Like, I'm not even gonna contest this. You'd be able to tell. But he's telling the truth because I was telling the truth. I don't know. I still don't know. She's like, well, will you find out for me? It's like, yeah, I'll find out for you. But I'm a respectable kindred, and when kindred do favors for other kindreds, you owe them a boon or favor. So I'll do this for you, but then you owe me. And she's like, oh, of course, da da da. And then was like, well, what do you want? And I was like, shit, I'm ready for that. And she's like, what do you really want? And I was like, okay, now you're making me a little flustered now. Calm down. I don't know. I'll tell you later. It'll just be a boon. So we got out of that. I remember Toledo put on his big boy voice and was like this, and this is like that, to try to make a show of it in front of her coterie. It didn't really work, but he got out of there. Dignity intact, delegate sash on. Also, after that interaction, I think that's when Toledo started to realize, like, shit, I might be feeling something. But that's a problem for later. Went to try to find the Epicureans, but I got caught talking to ask them about the mask stuff, but got caught talking to some of my delegates. As there was something, I don't know, something was going on with like, oh, did you hear this person went missing or this or that? And then also you could see there's a blue sash for the cam. I was like, oh, let's start getting dirt on their delegates. Cause like the cam, you know, they're all about their reputations and this and that. I'm like, if we get dirt on them, like I think it'll be fun to get personal at the delegation table and be like, I know this about you and blah, 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 embarrass them in front of, you know, let's spice it up. Let's make this messy. So I'm like, oh, let's start finding dirt on some of the delegates we see. So we talked about that, and then Ida found me again. And I was like, oh, I haven't had a chance to talk to Epicurean. She's like, oh, I already know that now. And I'm like, damn it. Okay, fine. But she's like, actually, I need something else from you. Because then I learned that son of a bitch Amadi, she was also in the Arsene Society, and she's the one that he told to target me to take the document. So she's like, hey, you have this document I need. This was the scenario I was waiting for. Toledo was excited to be a decoy and fuck over someone trying to steal from the Anarch movement. And it would have worked if it was anyone else. But it was her.
Oh God, can you make my heart stop? Hit me with your kill shot, baby. I've been in so serious. God, can you
So Toledo's in a bind. I could go with the plan. I could give her the fakes and protect the Anarch movement, make my Baron proud, and then also not be at a disadvantage when I have to debate the cam, and have a leg up on these important negotiations against our enemies. Or I could do what Edith said. And between this or this, yeah, so I gave Edith the documents. But Toledo made her promise, a huge favor in exchange. That from that point on, she had to be nice to him and not embarrass him, especially not in front of his friends anymore. And of course, she's like, oh, I've never done that, and blah, blah, you know, bullshit. It's like, nah, stop seducing me. I made it. If I do this is big. I'm fucking over a lot of people. You got to be so cool to me from now on. She's like, oh, whatever. She agreed. So she got a picture of the documents, and I leaked the Anarch information on the main mountain Banu Hakim agenda to her, she's in the cam. She's also in the Arsene Society, and I'm sure they sold it to the cam delegates. And don't fall in love at Darkness Emergent. But also I think it was during this conversation when I was said something about Vice, and she's like, you know, I never had feelings for him, right? I was like, wait, really? There's like nothing actually there? And she's like, no, blah blah blah. He's like, but I do maybe have food for you. And he's like, what? Toledo was back, baby. And he was in love. And I think I went and immediately told Abbott, it's like, hey, what's up, boss? By the way, I'm in love now. It was a good time. Told Amity the same thing. Again, I had fun giving these little disaster updates to people. That happened. I was telling people the good news, and I was talking to Abbott about stuff. I didn't tell Abbott that I leaked the documents. I don't think yet. But Vice found us. We were having a little chat. Who hadn't really been involved in the Ida. All the Ida stuff had like the very first instance Vice was around to like, aha, I'm dancing with her ex. Isn't this gotcha? But nothing came of it. Vice hasn't been around for any of the other stuff with her. Now all of a sudden, motherfucker rolls up and was like, hey, Toledo, we need to talk. Me and Abbott look at each other. And I'm like, did he just call me Toledo? Again, Vice never uses his actual name because he's a little shithead. But he did. So we knew it was serious. And Abbott's like, you better talk. I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk to it. We went, sat at a table, had a really cool, like, emotional scene, actually, with Vice. Cleo, like, asked Vice about, it's like, what's actually going on? What are your feelings on the situation? Is this actually, like, do you care about this? And yeah, apparently Vice was like, I didn't really, it's kind of, I think, kind of like their first love. But it's a thing of like, I thought we were something and it was something important to them. And then they either just left. And then it turns out like, it's like when I confronted them about it, they're like, oh, we weren't actually technically anything. And I'm like, motherfucker, she does that to me. Where like, she traps me with her words. And then I'm like, you said this. And she's like, technically, I didn't say this. Oh, really? I said this. And then I'm like, okay, so yeah, we're victims here. She's a villain and I've fallen for the same thing. Vice was like really torn up about it. Like, yeah, no, it really, really hurts. And I'm still fucked up about it. So then Cleo's like, damn it, I just fell in love with her. But now that I know you actually are upset about it, now I feel bad about it. So he's like, hey, I know you hide your feelings under just 100 layers of just sardonic bullshit. And you're actually being vulnerable. And maybe part of me wanted to believe your sort of sarcasm because it makes it easier for me. But if this is a real thing, I was like, nothing is more important than like our friendship, our coterie. I'm gonna nip this in the bud. It's like I'm sorry for like I think I let myself believe it wasn't anything real because it worked out better for me. To which Vice essentially like got up and cussed him out and stormed off. Real teenage dirtbag moment. So Toledo's like, okay, you know what? You're hurt. I'm gonna let you work it out. So Toledo had to go tell Abbott, hey, that meeting didn't go well. Vice is all butthurt, but I'm gonna go shut down the Ida thing so it won't get any worse. He said, give Vice time to cool off. And Abbott's like, hey, you two are about to be like delegates together for a really important thing that like could like, don't let this fuck it up or embarrass our coterie. I'm like, no, it's not gonna be like that. We're gonna be a team. So Toledo went, found Ida, said, hey, that favor you owe me, changing it. What I want, all you have to do in exchange for me giving you this incredibly valuable information, like you get me in a lot of trouble, is to leave me alone. I said, this is gonna be our last interaction. That's the favor I'm cashing in. And in my mind, what a good climax to like this weird, messy soap opera that happened like unintentionally. Again, didn't come in here planning any like romance plot or like messy X plot. Like I love that shit. So of course it happened, but never thought it happened on the LARP floor. But it did. And it was, and I'm like, oh, this is what a good way to wrap this up. And also, how selfless of Toledo. What a fucking guy, you know? He just told like Abbott Mahdi, like, hey, I really like this girl. And now he's going to her and being like, hey, that favor, now that you finally owe me one, just use it to leave me alone. Gotta look out for Vice. Whew, whew. LARPing, baby. I'm fucking LARPing. Also, like, finally having something over Ida and like throwing it away for Vice, who was just a dirtbag to him. And just, you know, beautiful. 10 out of 10. Anita ruined it because her response was something along the lines of, I don't want to do that. I'm like, hey, that's not how it works. It's like a boon. It's a favor. I'm cashing it in. You have to do it. You owe me. It's vampire law or whatever. She's like, I don't think it's possible. I can't do that. I like you and I don't want to leave you alone. So Toledo's ready to fucking fall on his knees again. First, I do an insight check to be like, are you fucking lying to me? Ladies and gentlemen, she's telling the truth. I mean, Ida's clearly like using him, but also I guess does like intrigued. That's all I needed. So Toledo was back, baby. My back, I mean, in the whirlwind of mess again. So convinced this is, oh shit, this is real. And also Ida's being very cool and hot, and Vice isn't. So Vice is being mean. So Toledo said cash to the favor, was like, all right, changing the favor again. You got to go work this out with Vice then. Like, I want us to, obviously, but it can't work if Vice is this fucked up about it. Vice is really confused about what happened between you. So go give them closure. And if Vice is cool with it, we're on. And I was like, I don't want to fucking do that. And I'm like, well, you have to. So she's like, all right, but I got to talk to him one-on-one. I'm like, yeah, of course. I don't want to be involved in that. So Ida goes to do that. I go back to Abbott, fill him in. I'm like, hey, I know I was just saying I was going to break things up with Ida. Actually, she's in love with me, so can't do it. Sorry, we're a thing. But Ida's going to fix things with Vice, so it'll still all be good. And then, like, I don't know, a lot of things start happening fast. Ida comes over at one point. I know Abbott's like, you're fucking up my whole coterie, which is funny because she is, but not even on purpose. Maybe on purpose. I don't know, man. It's confusing. Poor Abbott. But this is happening, and then Vice comes up and like grabs Toledo's hand, grabs Ida's hand, but he just like, don't fucking touch my hand. What are you doing? I'm not participating in whatever little ceremonial thing you're doing. He's like, hey, you guys have my blessings, blah, blah, blah. It's clearly being shockingly a sarcastic little shit. And then to Abbott was like, hey, I never want to work with this motherfucker again. It's over between me and him. And then the delegate meeting is called, and we get to go be anarchs together for the movement. Poor Abbott. So then things shift into delegate mode. Toledo's approaching this as a kindred who, again, thinks all this kindred political stuff is bullshit. Plus, his nerves are rubbed pretty raw from all this Ida Vice stuff. And he's ready to take it out on someone. And the Camarilla, the rules and regulations folk, pretty fucking late to this meeting. Not very cam of them. So Toledo kind of loudly points it out that they're fucking late when they finally do show up. Does some light ribbing, you know, gets the mood, sets the mood. The mediator was trying to be like, hey, remember, like, if you're asses to each other, you're probably not going to do good at, like, you have to come to agreements, so don't be asses. Which I get why you say that. That's good advice. But also, like, I knew I was just doing it to keep it interesting, and I knew I was going to agree to whatever. I wasn't that worried about that aspect of it. I'm just there to have fun. And me as a player was like, all right, Toledo, like, these people are, the cam and most of the anarchs are very locked in on like the actual delegation part and the agreements and the political whatnot. I'm like, Toledo's here just to kind of, he'll be fun flavor for the meeting. Again, not like interrupting, not like LOL so random, making jokes. Like, he'll let the things happen, but he'll there to be like, keep things interesting and also keep things moving along. Because I know some of these people really get bogged down. When I was right. But yeah, I figured I would be like, add flavor here or there, but everything else would go pretty smoothly. God, was I wrong? Plus, the cam delegates were some heavy hitters. We had Alex, then True, with Shaban on commentary. Love those two. Felix was there. Prince Eve, Camilla, Anna Lysander, a couple other folks one of which I really gave a ribbing to. They were a good sport about it. Toledo was an ass to them. Toledo was assigned to be the person to announce the delegates on the Anarch side. Because again, the camp just showed up with their 6 people as they're supposed to. We had a fucking whole gang. And of course, all that stuff I did earlier to get organized, other people already didn't remember which ones they were doing. So Toledo got to announce each one, like who's stepping up, and then they would step up and put on their sash. So it'd be clear which 6 are sat and debating the other 6. So we could like swap out and stuff. Although because I was doing that and to keep things moving, I just stay there the whole time, which worked out. This process was a bit arduous for my taste. We introduce ourselves, including Payne, who introduced himself as an independent, which is weird because he's there as an Anarch delegate, but everyone just sort of let it go. Though after a couple rounds of delegation, they were called out by Father Jojo, like, what the fuck, why is Tarkus here, blah, blah, blah. So Toledo's like, hey, first of all, who the hell are you? And it turns out they're like the Anarch that was assigned to be like our lieutenant, our guide for this thing. I was like, oh shit, my bad, okay. I guess you do have the authority to do that. But also, we just lost a delegate and we all look bad because you called them out. You could have just been cool about it. But the camera cool about it because they're, the mediator's like, we could go back and make someone else sign because that person signed documents, but they're like, nah, it's fine. So bless the cam. But things kept rolling. Payne was cool about it. They rolled with the punches, got their ass kicked out. It's fun getting kicked out of stuff. So the structure of this was, the item was introduced by a mediator, and there's I think about 8 or more items. Whichever side was making the demand opened things up with their proposal. Again, we had like the proposals written down of like, this is the best case for your side. So a lot of times you just read that out and then debate from there. Then the other side would have a couple minutes to delegate amongst themselves, agree or give a counter proposal, and just go back and forth a couple times. The whole thing I think was supposed to take 10 minutes per thing. Again, Cam was late. And then on our first one, we as the Anarchs took way longer. And then once we agreed, piece of paper went around, the mediator would sign the resolution that both sides agreed to, and then all the delegates would sign it. So it's cool. Toledo's got a signature on like official documents out there. And then, yeah, so there's a lot of these. And then like we knew the mountain one with the Banu Akeem was like the clear climax to this. And like that was the most important one. And that was like the big debate we were ramping up towards. So a lot of the earlier ones are like, oh, let's try to give and take, or like, ooh, if we make them agree to this, that kind of sets precedence we can use against them for the mountain thing. Like we had some plans going. But again, the plans were to lead to the big one, which means we had to go. People didn't get that. Toledo personally really only cared about one that was about religious violence, because our coterie wanted the CAM to condemn religious violence, because some of the members on the CAM delegates, who we knew from our roleplay stuff and are in our alliance, are in violent cults, religious cults. So I'm like, oh, if you sign a thing condemning religious violence, we're going to use that against you. And that's fun for our other RP stuff. So, and I succeeded in that. They condemned it and they signed it. So we got him there. And that's all Toledo really cared about. And the rest, again, we had talked as a group of like, don't give up Anarchs. And also like, just tell the CAM whatever they want for the other things to make it look like we're willing to play ball. And I won't get into like item by item, but it went so differently than expected. And I ended up having to like take a sort of an antagonistic, impatient role against my own side just to fucking keep things going and like spice things up a little bit, so then just so bogged down in incorrect delegation. And also like out of character to keep things moving, because like we have to keep this in mind. Some of our delegates did not understand how long they were dragging things out. Not a lot of them, some didn't even understand what was actually being delegated sometimes. Like I remember there was an early one where we had like a sidebar of like, okay, this is an easy layup. They want us to say this. We just say it, right? But we're going to debate as if like, oh, it's a big thing we're giving up. They're like, okay, cool. We're going to give them this win. And some of our people like, no, we can't budge on this. I'm like, what? We just had a whole conversation in our delegation meeting and like 2 minutes ago saying we were going to do this. Why aren't we doing it? It's like, we can't tell them this. It's like, what? Why? We could just lie then. And I don't know what changed. Some people wouldn't do it and really drug things out. Like there's examples of things like we just had to be like, the CAM demands that the Anarchs say that this thing is bad. And we'd be like, okay, this thing is bad. And our people like, no, we have to say that the Barons get to decide case by case, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? No. There was a thing of, we negotiated down from like, we weren't going to give up some of our people, but it's like, all right, some of our people were breaking a Masquerade, supposedly. And the CAM wanted the Anarchs to hold trials for them. And if they were found guilty, they would be given up to the CAM for punishment. And I'm like, yeah, we just don't find them guilty. Like, it's like we hold our own trials. We say, okay, they weren't guilty. So then we don't give anyone up. And our people are like, we can't do that. We can't give anyone up to the CAM. I'm like, I know. We will find them not guilty. And then they're like, but what if they broke the Masquerade? I'm like, then we deal with that on our own. We have a public CAM trial saying, oh, not guilty, because we're the judge and jury for it. And then if they need to be punished, we can do that separately, quietly. But they're like, no, we can't do this. And I'm like, what? So we're not willing to lie to them anymore? I'm like, what? I thought we're the Anarchs. I thought we're the cool ones. What's happening? Oh, and that happened from like the beginning. And I knew it was going to be rough. And it was rough. Toledo was losing his mind. One of the things was like, the CAM wanted us to, there were some Anarchs that were like doing Diablerie. And they wanted us to be like, Diablerie is condemned outside of Blood Hunt. All we had to do was say like, yes, our Diablerie is bad. It was essentially, they were asking us to make a statement saying Diablerie is bad. And we couldn't do it. Our people are like, all right, we can do it. But first we have to come to them with a counter proposal. And then we'll come back and then give in to make it seem like we're being good. And I'm like, dude, this is hour 3 of this. Let's just give, like, why are we adding a layer to this at this point? We've already argued against every single thing. This one, we all agree we're going to give it to him. Let's just give it to him. Like, no. So then we hit him with the thing of like, no, we're not going to do it. So then we come back. I'm like, okay, now we give it to him. And they still wouldn't. And then and because our people were like, no, if we do this, it's setting a precedent that we have to give up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, like each of these items was for a specific, like, these 3 Diablerists are in trouble. We weren't deciding things on like, from now on, the CAM gets to punish Anarchs who Diablerize. No. It was about these like 3 dudes. And some of our people didn't get that. And they're like, no, this sets a precedent. I'm like, there's no such thing as a universal law. Like, I don't know. I'm like, what law are you pulling from in this game or any game that like we're deciding what all vampires have to do? We don't have that power. I'm like, no, they're just trying to tell us Diablerie. They just want us to say Diablerie is bad. It's like, don't do this, Anarchs. And we were arguing against that. And they were telling me, I felt insane. I thought I was being gaslit. They're like, no, this is setting a precedent forever. I'm like, no. So they're debating, and I'm like, again, I'm playing into it because like Toledo's frustrated too. Because I'm like, I thought we were cool. I thought we literally had a plan, and now we're not doing it. So I'm just like being shitty and being annoyed and like hemming and hawing, just waiting for this to be over. And at one point, the mediator's like, just so I'm clear, the CAM are asking for you to say Diablerie bad, and you won't do this. And I just like point to them, and I'm like, I just said that, and you all told me I was wrong. And then they did. Sometimes being right feels good, but sometimes it just hurts. Yeah, if you can't tell, this was like the main plot I was steering towards the whole time, and it fucking was rough. And at no fault of anyone besides a handful of Anarchs who didn't know what they were doing. But also, it's in character, I guess, for them. Like, some of them weren't playing politically savvy Anarchs, I guess, or thought they were. I don't know. There was just some misunderstanding that if people listened, it would have been cool. And also, it took forever. We ended up running out of time, shockingly. So then the Banu, the mediator, was like, all right, we think that the CAM they're generous by saying the cam were dragging things out by like bringing up too many proposals, because most were from the cam. We're the ones that taking forever. And it's like, we're ending this. We're not dealing with any of the rest of them. I'm going to stand over there, and whoever comes up to me and talks to me, we can start delegating one-on-one. Which, well, they did to like they had to wrap this up and figure it out and make it to where like kind of light a fire under people's asses. And also, I think you saw at this point, if we sat at a table and did full delegation about it, we wouldn't be able to do it because our side proved that we were incapable of not bogging things down with detail by not understanding what was being negotiated or by introducing concepts that had nothing to do with what we were delegate. Yeah, we ran out of time, had to kind of skip to the climax. And by that point, Toledo's like, I don't actually care about this. I wanted them to condemn religious violence. I successfully did that. I'm dipping. I got matters of the heart to deal with. And I did. So I wasn't even involved in the last thing. From what I heard, Inez filled Toledo in later that apparently someone on our side made a terrible deal and just kind of fucked it up. I don't know what really happened. All I know at the end of the night. And then it kind of makes sense that the Anarchs were not on the same page and got their asses kicked in a political sparring match by a united Camarilla front. So things played out probably as they should. I did also sort of hope the leaked documents would come. I guess they did come into play again. I didn't stick around for it, but not in the way I thought. Because it would have been cool for like, if they would have found something out and someone been like, what the shit? How do they know this? There's a mole in the Anarchs. Been like, who is it? Who's leaking information? There's political espionage afoot. Just to discover it was Toledo and it wasn't political espionage. She just was hot and bothered for Ravnos and he gave up the information because a beautiful woman asked him to. Like, but your honor, I love her. That would have been hilarious. And Toledo was so fed up with his own delegates, he wouldn't care at that point anyway, but oh well. It was a funny thread to put out there. Then we returned to the Ida plot, which weirdly became the like primary arc I was on during this, which again, did not plan and ended up loving. But checked with Abbott, who was missing an arm at this point. There had been a huge fight, I guess, against a bunch of other kindred. Abbott kicked ass in. Good for him. Also, Abbott like slammed Toledo against a wall and was like pissed because like, hey, Vice just quit the coterie and left our city. So Toledo's like, okay, calm down. First of all, I know it looks like this might be my fault. If you think about it, it's not. And we had like actually a really cool talk about it. I mean, character talk about it of, Abbott's a good kindred and a good baron who really does try to look out for all these people and juggle all these things. And he's dealing with little shits, Toledo included. And a lot of people are always like challenging him, giving him shit. So Toledo would be like, hey, don't like let this mar all of your other accomplishments. Like you've done a lot. You've accomplished all these great things. Just because you couldn't keep a moody teenager from running away from home after he whatever. I'm like, that's nothing compared to all the other stuff that you've managed. Yeah, you're still a great baron. And also, don't be mad at me. And Abbott's like, man, is she really that good? Blah, blah, blah. And Toledo's like, I don't know. I haven't done anything with her at all. We haven't gotten past the like, I kind of like you phase. And I don't even know if that's real. It's like, that's all that happened. And that was enough for Vice to pack his bags and abandon our coterie. So, fuck that guy. Not me. And Toledo, I remember saying something about like, also like, kind parenting doesn't work all the time. And sometimes toddlers are assholes. And you shouldn't negotiate with little toddler terrorists. We might have to just like, stop it rather than let them run off. But he's like, I'll fucking do it myself at this point. I don't give a damn. I'll drag his ass back by the scruff. But Abbott's nice and said no. But also kind of sunk in for Toledo of like, actually, that sucks that Vice did that. So I feel very justified in pursuing matters of the heart. I told Abbott too. He's like, that's all I'm about. I'm a lover, baby. I gotta love. That's what I'm doing. Does that have to make sense? Love my friends, love my coterie, and I love an occasional Russian Ravnos. And then Toledo did talk to Ida again, kind of, I think. Mostly confirmed, like, hey, this isn't all just you using me, right? This isn't some nefarious plot. She's like, no. Things ended on the most somewhat equal feeling. Not equal, I mean, it's still Ida, but close enough. The closest Toledo felt all night. And also, I think that was the first conversation I had with Toledo wasn't, like, nervous. So it was kind of a fun, different side that finally he felt more resolved in kind of the insane decision he had made and what they'd gotten into. And then I think that was really resolved or set in stone. Things were to be continued. And also there's an after event, Club Maharani, Victor, hosted by Victor Temple. There was also a light RP, like a Succubus Club style thing. I don't remember. I don't think I really roleplayed all. I will say that one, most of us did not roleplay because we were tired. I'm sure some people did. I was personally beat. That was an incredibly long couple days because I had been doing not just all the LARP stuff, but doing press stuff and interviews and running around and things like that. So I was tapped, and we ended things on kind of an interesting note. And yeah, that was my LARP journey. I never thought I would be doing a telenovela plot as sort of the beating heart of my character arc over the event, but that's what I did. I went in thinking like, all right, this dude who hates kindred politics is going to try to become like, get in the most kindred political thing and make his judgment about it. That ended up, he kind of hated that, which kind of confirmed some things for him of like, okay, this is bullshit. And I'm kind of right of like, matters of the heart are still what would get me going. None of that was planned out at all. It was really good. It was a lot of fun. It was dramatic and messy, and like that's Vampire too. Again, never thought I'd be engaging with a plot like that, especially to LARP. But Astrid Syrinx playing Ida was amazing. Again, I'm a very yes and person, and a lot of people go into this really trying to be very successful in everything they do. And a lot of people could have taken advantage of Toledo in a way that wouldn't have been that fun. And Ida, the decisions she made throughout of like fucking with him in really entertaining, fun ways, but also ways that like fueled his character arc of like, okay, now I want to be a delegate so people respect, like, I don't know. It all played into his personality in ways that I didn't plan on. That was really fun. Then also she could have just dunked on me the whole time and it would have been fun. But like making the decision of like, oh, actually, like, no, there's maybe like, I don't know, conceding just enough to keep things. It's such interesting decisions. Again, even when I thought I was wrapping it all up in that nice bow with my dramatic, like, one last favor, you can never talk to me again. And she fucking flipped that on me of like, I can't do that. Because my CW heart, it was good. It was fun. Again, not what I planned. I want to be a cowboy, baby. And I was a cowboy baby. And also everyone like Abbott was so great of like just having to be the anchor of keeping things in perspective and on track. And also it was so fun to like tell on myself with of like, all right, I did this now. That was really fun. And also had really cool emotional things with Abbott's character, with Vice, stuff I did not think would happen, because we all kind of played just like a pretty lighthearted coterie, at least towards each other. So it's wild that like we've only really done that with each other, and to have like we got into serious shit, and our coterie broke up over this. Fucking wild. That's awesome. Also, it was just a really good example of LARPing and improv, of like the give and take and the just always building on the narrative rather than just like, again, we turned like what I thought would be a funny scene of like, oh, Vice, I danced with your ex, and that would be it. Did I really have a reason to interact with you the rest of the time, to like a whole fucking thing? And everyone took that and like brought it into their narrative in really interesting ways. And again, my big thing is that just don't bore me. I'm not trying to win anything. I just want to be bored. And really appreciate everyone for keeping it not boring at all. Again, I handed Astrid something that could have taken some easy ways out or just made it a joke or this or that, and like developed it into something. And it was so cool. It was so cool. A master at work. I was lucky to be a victim. Also goes to show you, take losses. Like, put yourself at other people's mercy. Exciting things can and will happen. A lot of people are still very hesitant, I think, to just give an inch when it comes to their character and their characters, I don't know, it coming out on top. The story I experienced is way more interesting to me than had I just like the whole time wheeled and dealed and like, okay, I won this encounter, I got one over on this person, I got all these boons, and I solved all these mysteries, and I got all this money, and I did it. I was the best vampire. That's, I don't know. That's fun for some people, I'm sure. But if I walked into every situation and just came out successful and just strolled from win to win, I'd be asleep by the end of it. And that's just me. That's boring as hell to me. So I mean, everyone always says it a lot, like, take losses, blah, 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 but like, actually take losses. But also, if you're someone who's taking the win in that situation, like someone's letting you do that, make it interesting. Again, don't just like get your victory and then end it. Like, build off of that. Give them something besides a loss. Give them a loss, but give them a loss with potential for retribution or something that will lead to something else. Like me getting screwed out of, like, getting tricked by getting an illusion coin turned into all this stuff because she knew that, oh, this is something that I'll have to come back and I can make into a thing. Or I could have dropped it too. Could have been like, ah, she got me, and left it alone. But yeah, we just kept checking, like, every time we just sort of interacted about it and added a new little layer, it always had another narrative beat. And that's what a good, like, give and take does. Storytellers, right? Tell a damn story. So yeah, all in all, who'da thunk? Not me. But I loved it. I had a really great time. It was really fun. I got to interact with a lot of people. And ridiculous, dramatic stuff I've talked about, but also just like a lot of the cool little interactions, like, you know, talking to random single one-off conversations I had with some kindred were really cool that I still remember. My talks with Fortune when we check in, my talks with Harlequin and helping Medicine Man was like all these even little things like really add up to this cool, just full tapestry of things that happened and that are all threads to pull. And the cool thing about Darkness Emergent is a lot of these things will lead into more stuff. Toledo hated the delegation thing, but his name is on documents that are out there that might have something to do with something. He might get exposed as fucking selling out info to the, I don't know. There's still, like, these things can still happen and can come up in other things. One of the items was, one of the Masquerade breachers was Void Maquette, because he broke the Masquerade in the very first Darkness Emergent San Antonio. And so now that character we delegated one of the things of his character's fate because of something he did 3 events ago. So, like, that's cool. That's fun. So yeah, all in all, again, I go to these, I'm new to LARP. I love role playing. I've done a lot of improv, so I'm like, yeah, it'll be fun, but like, I'm mostly here to socialize, but I really like the LARP aspect. So that's me. I thought I was too cool for this shit. And I did the cringiest shit, which is I got my ass beat romantically. And I loved it. So a lot of opportunity for people who are actually into this to really get a lot out of it. Or just be lucky enough to have amazing scene partners too. None of this would have happened without them. But more importantly, I think what we can all take from this is it wasn't the story I thought I'd be telling, but how inspirational is Toledo? And how villainous is Ida? And we all agree. And if you don't, get the fuck out. I was going to do I was still have to talk about the convention part and the social part. And this part took so long that I'm going to break this into different videos instead of making a 7-hour video. So that's it. I'm going to end it talking about the LARP, talking about my Cowboy K-Def. That's what happened with Toledo. I'm going to make a video about the rest of the convention and then all the people that whose characters I mentioned in this. We're going to see the players behind them in my next video. So we'll know who to blame for some of this. Till then, bye.
Watch me party on you, yeah. Party on you, party on you, party on, 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 party on you, party on.